AITA for not wanting to split the bill evenly between 10 people. 4 people agreed to order expensive food and drinks and then split the bill between everyone, but I said no. I am a 28-year-old man, and I have been dating my girlfriend for about a year now. Things have been really good between us. She is smart, funny, beautiful, and overall just an easygoing person. Through her, I have met a lot of her friends, and although I would not say I am best friends with them, I generally like them well enough to hang out from time to time. So when one of her close friends, let us call her Amanda, was planning a birthday dinner and invited both my girlfriend and me, I agreed without hesitation. I genuinely thought it would be a nice evening. Amanda picked this really fancy restaurant downtown, one of those places with white tablecloths, candlelight at every table, and a menu that did not even list prices next to half the dishes. You know, the type of place where they serve a portion the size of a deck of cards and call it a tasting experience. But hey, it was Amanda's birthday, and I figured I could treat myself for one evening. I do alright financially, I am not rolling in money, but I live comfortably. I budget, I save, and I like to spend smart. So I figured I would go, have a few drinks, order a reasonable meal, and enjoy the night without thinking too much about the cost. We got to the restaurant around 7, and it was honestly a really good vibe. Everyone was laughing, joking, catching up. The waiter came around and took drink orders. I ordered a bourbon on the rocks, my girlfriend got a glass of white wine. Pretty standard. Then I noticed some of the others, especially 4 of Amanda's friends I only sort of knew, were ordering these ridiculous cocktails that cost $22 a pop. It did not bother me at first. I mean, everyone is entitled to treat themselves, right? It is a celebration. Dinner went on. I ordered a steak that was middle of the road in terms of price. My girlfriend got the salmon. We both had another round of drinks, still just one each, and honestly, I was enjoying myself. Until I realized the 4 individuals were not slowing down. They ordered drink after drink after drink, laughing loudly, talking about, might as well live it up, and picking the most expensive entrees off the menu. 2 of them even ordered starters and dessert. At one point, one of the girls ordered a $30 appetizer for herself after already ordering a $70 entree. I started feeling a little uncomfortable, but I told myself to just relax and focus on having a good time. After all, I was not responsible for what other adults chose to order. That is what I thought, until the bill came. The waiter brought over this little leather folder and placed it in the center of the table. I think everyone collectively held their breath for a second. One of Amanda's friends, let us call him Derek, immediately said, "Alright, guys, to make it easier on the waiter, let us just split it evenly." I just sat there for a second, stunned. I quickly did the math in my head. Between my 2 drinks, steak, tax, and tip, I was looking at maybe $90, $100 at the very most. But if we split the bill evenly, considering the way some people have been ordering like they were at their own personal wedding reception, I could already tell I would be paying at least $180, maybe more. For food and drinks I did not even consume. At first, I tried to be polite. I said, hey, I would actually prefer to just pay for what my girlfriend and I ordered, if that is cool. I thought that would be the end of it. It was not. Immediately, a few people, especially the heavy drinkers, started pushing back. They said things like, come on, it is just easier, and, it is not that big of a deal, and, we are all celebrating together. Amanda, to her credit, looked uncomfortable but did not say anything. Derek rolled his eyes and said, dude, you do fine. It is not like it is going to break you. That was when something inside me snapped a little. It was not about whether I could afford it. It was about principle. I work hard for my money. I budget. I plan. I do not spend irresponsibly, and I sure as hell do not subsidize strangers getting blackout drunk on overpriced cocktails. I said, keeping my voice calm but firm, it is not about the money. It is about fairness. My girlfriend and I ordered modestly. I do not think it is fair for us to pay double just to make it easier. I will happily pay for what we ordered, and I will even leave a generous tip for the server separately. The table went awkwardly silent. You could feel the tension hanging in the air like a thick cloud. A few people exchanged glances. Someone muttered something under their breath about me being cheap, but I just ignored it. I flagged the waiter over and asked if I could get a separate bill for my girlfriend and me. He looked relieved, honestly. It probably made his job easier too, not harder. He quickly brought our portion of the bill, and I paid it, tipped 25%, and sat back. The rest of the table begrudgingly split the rest of the bill. I could see some of them were furious, but at that point, I really did not care. I was not going to be bullied into paying for someone else's extravagance just because it was socially awkward to say no. When we left the restaurant, my girlfriend squeezed my hand and told me quietly that she was proud of me for standing my ground. She said she had felt awkward too but did not know how to say anything in the moment. That honestly made me feel a little better because for a second there I wondered if I had ruined the night. Amanda texted my girlfriend later and thanked us for coming and said she hoped we had a good time. So at least from her, there were no hard feelings. But ever since then, I have noticed that a few of her friends have been distant. A couple of them unfollowed me on social media, and there has been noticeably less enthusiasm when we are all in the same group chats. I guess I am fine with that. I am not going to apologize for setting a boundary, especially when it comes to something as fundamental as money and respect. Still, I cannot shake the feeling that somehow, by standing up for myself, I became the villain in their eyes. And it leaves me wondering, am I really the bad guy here? Was I wrong for just wanting to pay for what I ordered? Update 1. I was not really planning to post an update, but enough has happened over the past week that it feels necessary. After that dinner, things got weirder with the friend group. At first, it was just the cold shoulder treatment, people being less responsive in the group chat, ignoring my messages, letting conversations I started just hang there awkwardly without replies. I told myself it was just some lingering awkwardness. I figured it would blow over. After all, adults should be able to move past something as trivial as splitting a dinner bill, right? Wrong. It simmered under the surface for a few days. Then, 2 days ago, Amanda made a post in the group chat thanking everyone for coming to her birthday dinner. On the surface, it seemed like a normal enough message. She said she appreciated everyone making time, said the night was amazing, and how much it meant to her to have friends celebrating with her. But then she tacked on a little addendum that shifted the whole tone. She wrote, "Special shout out to those who kept the spirit of celebration alive by not making it about money." No names were mentioned. She kept it vague enough to have plausible deniability. But it was clear as day who she was aiming that at. Immediately after her message, 2 of her friends, the ones who had been pounding back $22 cocktails like they were at an open bar wedding, chimed in with their own little jabs. One said something about how some people have no sense of generosity and how it is embarrassing when adults act like they are splitting a pizza bill at college. Another said that if you cannot handle adult costs, then you should stay home instead of bringing down the vibe. Again, no names. But the subtext was as thick as molasses. I stared at my phone for a long time, feeling a mix of anger and disbelief. I knew engaging would only make it worse. These people clearly had a narrative they wanted to stick to, that I was some kind of miser who ruined Amanda's birthday because I refused to bankroll a round of drunken indulgence. I was not going to win by arguing. So I stayed quiet. My girlfriend, however, had a different idea. She had been reading the messages too, getting angrier by the second. Without consulting me, but with the full force of her righteous fury, she typed out a response. Calm, measured, but absolutely cutting. She wrote, "Just for the record, it is not generosity if it comes at someone else's forced expense. Setting a boundary is not being cheap." That was all it took. The group chat detonated. One of Amanda's friends fired back, accusing my girlfriend of being negative and selfish, saying that real friends just go with the flow to make nights special. Another tried to guilt trip, saying that Amanda's birthday was supposed to be about her, not about some imaginary principle about fairness. Others started weighing in, some defending my girlfriend, others piling on with thinly veiled insults. Within minutes, the group chat split into factions, and it was like watching a digital civil war unfold in real time. At one point, someone tried to drag me back into it, mentioning how it was especially tacky when someone who's not even that close to Amanda decides to make a statement. That one stung a little, not because it was true, but because it showed how quick they were to reframe everything once someone stood up to them. Amanda stayed quiet during most of the blow-up, but eventually she sent a message saying she was disappointed that a silly misunderstanding had turned into such a toxic environment, and that she was leaving the chat because it was ruined. 3 other people followed her lead and left too. After that, the group chat fell silent. Dead. Like a ghost town. It honestly felt surreal. All this fallout, all this drama, because a handful of people could not stand the idea of someone refusing to subsidize their gluttony. I felt a weird mix of emotions: vindication, sadness, anger, and, weirdly, relief. The people who showed their true colors were not people I wanted to waste my time or energy on anyway. Over the next couple of days, things settled into an awkward new normal. My girlfriend and I still hung out with a few of her other friends who had stayed out of the drama, people who quietly reached out to say they respected us for standing our ground. But the core group, Amanda, Derek, and the others, made no effort to reach out, and honestly, neither did we. There were no big confrontations. No dramatic apologies or messy fallout. Just a slow, quiet distancing, the kind that happens when you realize some people were only ever friends with you when you were willing to go along with things uncritically. Looking back on it now, I realize how fragile some friendships really are when they are built on unspoken expectations instead of mutual respect. It still boggles my mind that a simple principle, wanting to pay for what you actually ordered, could expose so much resentment and entitlement in people. But I am also grateful it happened. Better to find out now than later. My girlfriend and I talked that night and agreed that it was probably time to start distancing ourselves from people who have that kind of entitlement mindset. Update 2. I really thought everything was done after the group chat meltdown, but life had other plans. Last night, out of nowhere, Amanda called me. I was genuinely surprised when I saw her name flash across my phone screen. For a moment, I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the accept button, wondering if I even wanted to open up that whole can of worms again. Curiosity won out. From the second I picked up, I could tell something was different. Amanda's voice was quieter than usual, more measured, none of the performative, peppy tone she sometimes put on when around the group. She actually seemed genuinely apologetic. She said she had been doing a lot of thinking over the past week and that she wanted to clear the air personally. She admitted that she had been drinking that night and had gotten swept up in the moment, trying to keep the vibe high, trying not to acknowledge how messy things were getting. She told me that while she understood my point even that night, she had felt embarrassed when the dinner ended with tension. In the heat of the moment, with everyone buzzing from overpriced alcohol and heightened emotions, she had wanted to find someone to blame so she would not have to confront the fact that her friends had turned her birthday into an uncomfortable mess. She said it was easier to direct that blame at me, the outsider, rather than address the real issue brewing beneath the surface. That alone would have been enough to catch me off guard, but then she said something that floored me entirely. She revealed something I had not known. Apparently, the 4 heavy drinkers, the ones who had been ordering like they had just won the lottery, had actually planned to go all out that night no matter what. Before the dinner even started, they had privately agreed among themselves to push for an even split of the bill afterward, knowing full well that their extravagant orders would get cushioned by the rest of the table. Amanda said she overheard them joking about it while they were waiting for the table to be ready. They had been laughing, talking about ordering top-shelf drinks and appetizers because no one would notice once it's divided up. At the time, Amanda thought it was just drunken joking. She brushed it off, too wrapped up in the excitement of her birthday to think twice about it. But after everything blew up, she replayed it in her mind and realized just how calculated it had actually been. They had intended to freeload off the group from the very beginning. It was not an accident. It was premeditated. Hearing that hit me harder than I expected. It was not just a matter of people ordering too much in the moment or getting carried away in the excitement of a birthday celebration. It was manipulation. It was entitlement weaponized against the politeness of others. They had counted on social pressure keeping everyone too embarrassed to object. Amanda apologized for not standing up for me at the table when it mattered. She said she knew I had done nothing wrong and that my only crime was refusing to let myself be bullied into footing a bill for other people's greed. She said she should have said something when Derek pushed for the even split. She should have shut down the snide comments in the group chat instead of letting them fester. She acknowledged that by staying silent, she had allowed the situation to spiral into something toxic, and that she owed me an apology for her part in it. She made it clear that she understood if I did not want to hang out with that crowd anymore. She said she had some serious reflecting to do herself about the kind of people she was surrounding herself with. She emphasized that she did not want there to be lingering bad blood between us personally, even if it meant we were not part of the same friend circles moving forward. I listened to everything she said. I appreciated her honesty. It takes a lot for someone to own up to their part in a mess like that, especially when it is so much easier to just stay silent and let resentment simmer. I could tell that Amanda was being genuine. There was no defensive tone, no attempt to shift blame or minimize what happened. Just a real, human admission of guilt and regret. I told her I appreciated the apology. I meant it. It takes guts to confront a situation like that instead of pretending it never happened. But I also told her, with equal honesty, that trust once broken is hard to rebuild. I said that while I would always be polite and civil if we crossed paths, I was going to be a lot more careful about who I gave my time and energy to from now on. There was no anger in my voice, just quiet finality. She said she understood. There were no tears, no drama, no desperate pleas to patch things up. Just two adults acknowledging that a line had been crossed and that some things, once damaged, do not go back to how they were before. When the call ended, I sat there for a while, letting it all sink in. I was glad she had reached out. I was glad the truth came out. But it did not change the fact that the group dynamic we had all been part of was well and truly dead. Some things, once broken, reveal the cracks that were there all along, you just had not seen them clearly until the pressure hit. We left on respectful terms, but it definitely closed the chapter on that whole group dynamic for me. Update 3. It has been about a month now since the birthday dinner fiasco, and I figured I would post one final update to put a bow on this whole saga, to finally wrap up everything this strange little chapter of my life cracked open. First and foremost, my girlfriend and I have drifted completely away from that circle of friends. There was no fiery confrontation, no shouting match over text, no dramatic last dinner where someone stormed out. It was not theatrical or even particularly remarkable. It was a slow, almost imperceptible unraveling at first, fewer invites to weekend hangouts, fewer casual check-ins about plans, fewer memes sent into the group chat where once there had been a flood. The energy that had once felt, at best, semi-welcoming, now dissolved into polite indifference, then into silence. Eventually, it was like that group had quietly folded in on itself, leaving no trace but a lingering sense that they had only ever been loosely stitched together by convenience, not by any real foundation of friendship. No more pings lighting up my phone, no more last-minute group dinners, no more reminders of people who had once filled our weekends but had never truly earned a place in our lives in the first place. And honestly, it has been a blessing beyond what I even realized at the time. It is strange how easy it is to cram your life with noise, with brunch plans, group trips, endless birthday dinners, rooftop drinks, until you confuse busy for full, until you mistake quantity for quality. The distance from that group has been like exhaling a breath I did not even realize I had been holding for months. It was like stepping outside after being stuck in a room with stale air, like peeling off a jacket that had gotten too heavy without me noticing. Without their energy clouding everything, the air feels cleaner. The days feel lighter. The time feels like it belongs to me again, not parceled out in obligatory social calendars driven more by appearances than actual joy. My girlfriend and I have found ourselves leaning, naturally and without effort, into friendships that had always been waiting patiently at the edges. People who had never demanded we prove ourselves, people who had never kept score. Friends who value kindness and fairness and respect not because it benefits them but because it is who they are. People who understand that real connection does not require constant theatrics, that genuine friendship is built quietly, in 100 small ways, over time. We have been hosting small dinners at home, simple and unpretentious, the kind of evenings that make you forget to check your phone. Friends show up with homemade casseroles, grocery store pies still in their boxes, half-drunk bottles of wine they found in the back of their kitchens. People pull chairs from other rooms, squeeze around the table, pass plates without formality. The conversations meander and stretch late into the night, no one rushing to leave, no one carefully managing appearances. There are no whispered calculations about who owes what for a meal, no stiff smiles when the check arrives, no hidden resentment simmering beneath the surface. It feels like what it is supposed to feel like, easy, effortless, genuine. It feels right in a way that makes me realize how wrong things have been before. Amanda and I have not spoken again, and truthfully, I am perfectly fine with that. I respect her for owning up to her part in the chaos, for reaching out and acknowledging what went wrong when it would have been simpler for her to disappear into the background. It takes a certain kind of maturity to admit when you have failed someone, even in small ways. But respect for that moment of honesty does not erase the larger truth. It does not rebuild what was broken between us. It does not unmake the choice she made that night, the choice to stay silent when it would have mattered, the choice to protect her own comfort at the expense of fairness. When the group turned sour, she did not just watch, she let it happen. I do not hold any anger toward her anymore. Just distance. A quiet, necessary distance. Because here is the truth that this entire mess revealed to me in glaring, unmistakable neon: money does not change character, it reveals it. It strips away all the curated politeness, all the social niceties, all the pleasant performances we put on for one another. It shows you exactly who someone is when generosity becomes a choice instead of an expectation, when decency comes with a price tag attached. When the check hits the table and generosity is no longer free, when fairness is no longer theoretical, that is when people's real selves emerge. Some people step up. Others shrink away. Some people will show you exactly who they are the moment it becomes inconvenient for them to be decent. It is easy to be the life of the party when someone else is footing the bill. It is easy to talk about friendship and loyalty when it is effortless. It is easy to be generous when generosity costs nothing. But the moment a real boundary is drawn, the moment fairness is demanded instead of assumed, the masks slip. The real character shines through, for better or worse. And at the end of the day, I would rather have a small circle of real friends, friends who understand fairness without being asked, who respect boundaries without resentment, who bring warmth without calculating the return, than a big, glossy circle of people who only like me when I am quietly picking up the tab for their luxury lifestyle. True friendship is not built on obligation. It is built on choice, on mutual respect, on the comfort of knowing that you are valued for who you are, not for what you can provide. That has been the biggest, most unexpected gift in all of this: clarity. Clarity not just about them, but about myself. About the kind of life I want to build, the kind of energy I want to cultivate around me, the kind of people I want to call my friends. I will take mismatched potlucks, thrift store wine nights, hand-me-down laughs and deep conversations over cocktail-fueled performances any day of the week. Every single time. Thanks to everyone who read and reached out with kind words throughout all of this. It helped more than I can say to know that I was not alone, that standing my ground was not only reasonable but necessary. It has been a weird experience, a frustrating one at times, a bittersweet one. But it has been clarifying too, in a way I would not trade for anything. I feel like I dodged a bullet, honestly. A whole barrage of them. And no, I have not split a bill evenly with strangers since.